TV 19, Ripley.
You gotta walk that lonesome valley. You gotta walk it by yourself. Nobody else walk it for you. You gotta walk by yourself. You just walk lonesome valley. He had walked it by himself. Nobody else walked it for him. He had walked by himself. Father walked lonesome valley. He had walked it by himself. Nobody else walked it for him. He had walked by himself. He had
Welcome to Daryl's Little Corner. We'll be with you every Monday from 7 to 8. Tonight in the studio we have Henry Jeter and my husband Tate. And I'm very privileged to have them with me. And we're going to do some talking about stuff. That's what we're going to do. Henry, who was your parents?
The what?
Who was your who was your parents?
My parents.
Yeah,
Well,
that's for my time. Come on.
Willie Crosby Jeter and Icy Ossie Panel.
Well, what did your daddy do?
Well, he's a crop worker, and he trout. He sold starkins, and he raised hogs, and just different variety of things, and had an orchard that we sold fruit in the summertime, you know, when it come in, and it was enough to divide us. We didn't have a whole bunch, but we didn't go hungry.
Well, now there's a lot of you kids, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
Don't forget the honeybees.
Oh yeah, we had 9 or 10 hives of honeybees, and I used to go over there and hide in them and put me up one of them little hammocks over there. Tate, none of them wouldn't come over there because them bees didn't like them too well.
Oh. But them honeybees didn't mind you.
No, I'd lay real still. I'd let them crawl around over me. And they wouldn't bother me.
Oh.
They get over there slapping at them, sting them in the head or something.
Get eat up. Yeah.
Get eat up.
Yeah, yeah.
A while ago when he said Starkin, Daddy sold Starkin, he meant Stark's Brothers Fruit.
Stark
Trees.
Brothers Fruit.
Stark Brothers fruit trees.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it was a different world back then. You know, people just did what they had. They just made money.
Well, that's what Daddy
Yeah.
had to do.
They didn't not just necessarily hiring it at a factory or a business.
No.
They just, I don't know, they just knew how to make a living.
Well, at that time, you know, people didn't have factory jobs like they got now. I mean, a woman, you hardly ever hear of a woman working at a factory or anything, and it wasn't too many factories for the men to work. We had to survive the way that I guess Daddy's insects raised him up to do, and then what we learned from him, we done, but the modern world got to growing, and people left the fields and started in the factories.
Well, you know, it would be kind of tough to come in out of the factory and go to the stream with a rubboard, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, back in those days, you know, we say the women didn't work, but now it wasn't that easy.
No, it wouldn't.
And they had a lot of children,
Yeah.
so a lot of clothes to wash and big pots of food to cook, and you know it really and they had to cook it on wood heat.
Yeah.
Now I've cooked a little on a wood heater. I didn't have a wood stove, but on a wood heater, it's just not that simple.
No, it ain't.
It ain't.
We had that old wood stove. We'd have all this work when we'd come in, you know, from school. We had to cut our wood, tote it to the house, cut our stove wood or kindling, and get everything gathered up for the next day to do us the next evening. And of course, I think Tate ratted on me a lot.
Probably.
I was old to see that.
He was always hollering, "Don't ride that saw," and I would never did get on that saw.
He probably did.
Yeah.
He was talking about the women doing the washing and stuff back then. I can remember when, I wasn't very old, but I believe Mother liked to wash on a Tuesday or Wednesdays. And we'd get the old wagon or the ground slide. Had an old mare we called Maple. I'd load that thing and hook it up to the ground slide or hook the mules up to the wagon. Load up the washboard and the pot and the bench and the tubs, and had a spring over the hill a mile or two down the bottom. We'd go down, set the pot up, fill it up with water, build a fire around it, set the bench out in 2 tubs, fill one of them up with water for rinse water while you was heating your other water, and Mother would go back and get her and another load of clothes. Boy, it was clothes hung all over that hill
Oh, I
around there when
bet.
she done her washing.
Well, it was a lot of kids, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, it was.
Well, really, there was like 2 sets. I remember David, before he died, he told me that he was 16 when you were born. You're the oldest of the ones living. He was the youngest of the first set.
Yeah.
He said he was 16, and they left him at the house with that little old baby to see after it. He said, I hadn't ever been around no babies. And he said he put you in a little stroller, a little baby doll stroller, and was trying to get you to shut your mouth, probably. That probably get you quiet. But anyway, one of the wheels hit a crack in the floor and dumped you out, so it just scared him to death. I told him that's what's wrong with you, honey. every time you do it, I'd say, well, you dropped him.
Dropped me on my head.
That's what happened to him, eh?
That's what it was. See, all these years you didn't know
All
that,
these years
Henry.
I've been trying to figure it out.
That's what it was.
David wouldn't drop it
wouldn't.
on his head.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But, you know, truly in those days, you know, that's how they did. The older children would help with the younger ones.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we would.
and, you know, it really worked well. It really did. You know, they kept everybody fed,
Yeah,
and now we work these factories and hire a babysitter and still can't feed them.
I know it.
You know.
And we was lucky we didn't have to tow the water. We had a cistern, they called it, on the back porch, and Daddy would always tell us when it was going to rain or when it was raining. Always run out there and put had a little old pipe that come off in the house, just like I don't know, we had tin top house. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, everybody had
You
10.
go
Wait till all the dust and stuff washed off on top of the house, and then run out there and stick it over in the cistern, let it fill up. And they talk about everything now, washing your hands and germs and stuff. I can remember when we had a big old washpan sitting outside on the table at the back door. Everybody wash their hands and dry on the same towel, drink out of the same dipper, the water bucket. We didn't have many germs. If we did, we caught them from each other.
Probably so.
All that live soap kept all the germs.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. You know, they made their own soap, yeah. I remember, you know, seeing people make, in fact, I helped a few times make soap.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was very few times.
Yeah. Generally, we'd make a big batch of it and kill a hog or something like that, you know. And that washed off.
And I could always tell what we was going to have for breakfast most of the time, too. Mother had an old tub she kept out in the backyard. Had it all chicken that went to roost. You see her go out there to the chicken house and get a rooster or an old hen or young hen. Put it under that tub. Next morning you'd see her ease out there and wring its neck, pick it, clean it, and cook it, and we'd have biscuits and gravy and fried chicken. That was some good eating back then. I don't like chicken no more though.
But you know now, if it's not already cut up, you have to buy a whole chicken at the store. They don't have to cut it up.
You know, back then we milk our own cows and everything, and we had our meat, you know, in the smokehouse, salted down and all. Have a salt box, you kept your meat in, and you have your hams you'd hang up if you wanted to smoke them. And most of the time we'd have ham if Tate and Denver didn't pick a lot and get in over where the ham was at.
We like to cook our own sometimes. But you know what? You'd feed that old hog, you'd get used to a couple of them out there in the hog pen, feeding them every morning and every evening. And then when it did come hog killing time, you kind of hated to go out there and participate in killing hogs and anything. Then I had to look at part of it on the breakfast table every morning for the rest of the year. I don't know, I guess I'm soft-hearted or tender-hearted or something.
Well, I think it's a different way of life now. You know, it's not like that anymore. We're not used to it.
No, we're not used to it.
But now back then, you didn't think a lot about it. It's just it's what you did.
Yeah,
it's how you lived.
It's culture. That's the way things were done.
Yeah, that's just the way it was. And two, they didn't have a lot of choice.
No.
That was the way of life. That
That's
just
the way
was.
of life. And that's what the older people had to do. And we learned from them when we was coming up what they had known. And I guess our kids learned from what we've done, you know, for them to do. But I believe sometimes they act the wrong way.
More modern.
They try to upgrade it, you know, like upgrading
I think for that. They don't do just like we taught them. We probably didn't do just like they taught us either.
No.
I bet they thought we were awful.
Well, back then we didn't think nothing about it, I don't guess. You know, old pig had a mud hole out there to water in all day, and you'd slop and feed him at night and morning, and you just kind of it's kind of like these people always got a pet dog around the house.
Get attached
used to them and attached to them.
Then you don't want to eat them. That's true. That's true. I tell you what, when we've just come through the Christmas season, tell us about Christmas at your house. I understand your dad was preacher, wasn't
he? Yes, he was.
Yeah.
I can remember the last Christmas I really had. I don't know if Henry remembered or not. You remembered Preacher Mitzi, Henry?
Sure do, Brother Mitzi.
One night, me and you was asleep back there in the back room, and I heard something come through the door. You could always hear Daddy say, "Come on in." And he come through the door with a big old sack across his back and his shoulders and brought it in the house. And I reckon old Santa Claus had met him out there somewhere and sent him. But we had Christmas that year. And that's the last year I remember old Santa Claus coming.
When I realized that I had to go into a nursery.
Did you get, like shoes or toys, or what did you get for Christmas? Do you remember?
Well, we'd get clothes and shoes, something that was usable. Like I told you,
Yeah.
like I told you this morning, we get 2 new pair of pants a year,
Yeah.
and the one that you wore all winter, you would wear them that next coming summer and wear them out, you know, in the fields and stuff, and you still had one good pair for the next winter. You'd wear them on, that was a Sunday to go to church breeches.
But sometime now, Daddy would get us these old wool socks.
Oh, yeah.
That's in the winter time. And if you ever slept under a wool blanket, you know, you imagine what a pair of wool socks feel like on your feet.
Like them army socks.
Yeah, your feet feel like they're about to eat you off.
Yeah, I bet.
We were talking about a pig wallowing in the mud hole a while ago. Yeah, I still owe Henry and Gerald Jeter a good one of these days. Me and Charles had us a swimming pool over there in the ditch behind the barn. And him and Gerald always telling on us, and especially Betty and Louise. But anyway, we decided we was going to go swimming down there in a little old mud hole at about waist deep. And of course, we pulled our clothes off and got in the mud hole and having a good time, and looked up, the Henry and Gerald was. And they stole their pants and carried them to the house. And boy, did we get in trouble over it.
We sat on the front porch and watched them come over the hill in the birthday suit.
I bet your
I don't
mom
know
had
how they got home, but
I bet your mom had a.
I think me
I
and Gerald
bet she
got
did.
it on that too, man. That was too bad size there.
Wasn't one of your better days.
Wouldn't nobody believe it's neither one of our actions.
I bet. Oh, but well, back to Christmas. Now, did y'all go out and get a tree, or what kind of arrangement did you make about the Christmas tree?
We'd go out and take wood, and we'd get old Dixie and hook up to the ground slide, and we'd go get us a tree. Liable to have to go to the backside to find the tree you wanted. And we'd trim it up and get it in the house, and then all of us would get together and make these little chains, you know, and color them, and then sweet ball guns, and
That's a little old stickly thing grows on a tree, isn't it?
just a
Sweet gum ball.
sweet gum ball. You just wrap them in aluminum foil, and they got a little nip on the end that you tie a string to them, just hook them on the tree, you know.
You go to town on Saturdays and you could walk around the square and find all kind of cigarette packs, you know, that had that tin foil in them, and save them to and we'd have tin foil to go on at Christmas.
Oh.
Sweet gum balls, stuff like that.
Well, never thought of that.
But we would all know Santa Claus was close because, you know, they'd always buy the fruit, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas. And you could smell that fruit in the house somewhere, but you couldn't find it.
Couldn't find it.
Well, you know, Daddy used to dig a hole and stomp holes out in the, and put hay in it and pull some of the good apples, the big apples that would last. We'd have apples
And just mellow them out, make them real mellow, like, you know. But I know Christmas is around somewhere. I could smell it.
I thought somehow by the time our children came along, it kind of lost something, didn't it? That just sounded like a
Somewhere.
fun thing.
Mother had a word she called pilfering, and you better not be caught in the house pilfering around. And
Different.
Pilfering.
and they'll
I
be
remember
fine.
that.
No
word.
pilfering. Well, did she cook a big dinner and all that stuff? What did they do in that day?
Well, everybody enjoyed
Everybody got
Christmas
full.
gifts, you know,
Yeah,
ones what
yeah.
we had, you know.
Uh-huh.
We didn't get all that much, but we got close to what we was wanting, you know, and like I say, we wasn't all that rich people or nothing like that. But that some way Daddy divided for Christmas. I don't know where he went and borrowed the money or what he did, you know. And he'd have us maybe a set of cap guns, baby dolls, little ones, and some little something like that, you know, which wasn't all that much at the time, but never did get much till we got a bicycle, and that was way over in the summertime.
We never did get to ride them too far. Well, now, I had a job one time when I was small. I called it my grit route.
You did?
Me and Henry.
Well.
Henry, we walked a many mile on the old bicycle wasn't rolled in with.
Yeah. Walked all the way up Full Tyke, back across over to Chatmon, and back around the
Old man Will Cook's store down there,
Yeah.
and over to her sister's store over on number 2 highway.
2 cents a copy.
And you know, back in those days, you weren't afraid for your children to go outside. Nobody wanted them but you anyway. They'd find their way back home. But now you just can't turn kids loose like that. You may never see them again.
No, that's the way it used to be with us. Now, Mama turn us loose in the morning, I guess 9 to 10 o'clock out of it, you know, dew and stuff, you know. And we'd like to be gone all day long before we'd come back home. Unless some of us got hungry and we'd come easing in and looking at the top of the warmer on the old wood stove. I remember it had some of the best biscuits I ever eat up there.
I bet. I bet
If
that's
they
the
were
truth.
cold.
If they was
Oh,
gold.
yeah. Yes.
I used to love it. Homemade peanut butter and cheese and stuff. I'm telling you. Dried peaches and them peach pies, apple pies, and that was it. Mother always had us something sweet to eat most of the time.
And you know, then it came a time as you got older, Tate got a car, didn't he?
Yeah.
That got you in trouble, didn't it? It always does. Always does. That's got your car.
Well, I got old enough to go to a movie, and Mother and Daddy I don't think they fully trusted me, but
Did you know how to drive?
yeah.
That's plus. That's plus.
I learned how to drive. I got my driver's license when I was 15, I believe, back then. But anyway, I believe it was in the wintertime. It was cold, snowing a little. But I told Mother and Daddy no to let me go in town, watch the show. I called it, and I'd come back home. And Henry was wanting to go, and I didn't want him to go with me because I was going to pick somebody else up on the way. But I finally got gone. Henry disappeared around there somewhere, and I left. Got up toward number 4 highway on up above Mount Olive Church, and I heard something in the back. And I pulled over and raised the trunk, and there was Lady Henry there, just grinning at me. He done snuck off, had to go all the way back home to Mother and Daddy. I let him go with me, though.
Oh, your mother'd killed you both.
Yeah.
No, she would.
she
Oh,
would.
I know I would. Oh, mercy. Well, tell me something. Who mowed the yard? Had all them kids you take turns? Or?
That was a different question.
Tell me about the yard.
Now, I want to tell you about our yard.
Uh-huh.
We didn't have no grass.
Had no grass.
No grass. A grain of grass got on our yard. Somebody got the hoe and cut it. But we swept our yard and kept it clean, just as white. I reckon Daddy and them had it that way in case there'd be a snake or something out there coming towards the house. See, at that time, you know. Yeah, snakes was bad, and a lot of them, and we had no dog there. It'd take care of them, but if you left it grow up around the house, that old snake could wind up and getting up on the floor and getting in your house. So everything was clean around the house.
But they made the brooms to sweep them porches. Most of the time, sweep the porch in the house or whatever. I used to pull this sage grass, make sage grass round. Big old thing, big round. But it lasts a long time if it was put on the stick right. Well,
I tell you, well now, I've heard a lot of people say they didn't have grass. They didn't want no grass.
We kept all the grass.
I like
off
grass
them,
either.
I mean, it would grow good grass, but it just never went on there. And we keep it swept off, keep the seeds, swept off for them coming up, and stuff.
Now we think we have to have grass, we fertilize it.
Yeah.
But then we didn't want any. I don't know what the thing is with all
Speaking of
this
grass, I don't know whether anybody, they probably remember what a ticking is.
Yeah.
A tick mattress. Well, I'm going to tell you what it is.
Okay.
It's a mattress full of grass. But back then, in the summertime, Daddy he wouldn't let you, he had one patch of corn. Most of the time it was popcorn. And he would go, grass would be waist high in it. He would take a tick and off the bed, get him out there and empty him over in the hog pen or in the yard somewhere. And then you'd have to pull grass enough to pack that tick good with. Sew it back up, carry it in the house, and put it on the bed, and you had a new mattress for the rest of the... I said something about a tick the other day, and I don't remember who it was.
Never heard of it. You say tick, now they think about tick on the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was me.
That was funny.
But I remember we used to use hay mattresses, filled them up with hay. That's pretty near, but ours had sticks. Y'all smarter than we was. We had our sticks.
It was hard to walk across one of them. Back then, everybody tried to plant this, they called it Saritha hay. But it had stems on it as big as a mat stem.
Oh, you get on one of those stems.
Yeah.
You couldn't walk on it.
Oh,
No.
terrible.
Of course, Henry, it doesn't make him no different. He never did wear a shirt or a pair of shoes till he got grown, I don't reckon.
Then I was 40-something years old before I put them on in.
Come visit your local.
See him, he had his overalls and barefooted, no shirt on.
Well, they had so many kids. Did they have days where you had to work in the field, or when you was it a schedule, or just whenever it was time? Oh, every day.
Unless it was church.
Now our school got out like it does now, kind of like it does. Maybe we had a longer season, to get our crops in. But we get out of school, and then from school we'd go to the fields, and be a hoeing, and then picking the cotton and whatever, harvest or whatever we had, And most of the time it was cotton and corn.
And when on the weekends, your daddy, if he was a preacher, they kind of took your weekends up, didn't it?
Well, yeah, sometimes it did. Of course, we had enough time to do all the work we needed to do, but wanted to do around the place.
That's where the kids come in.
Oh, put them kids
But
to work.
usually on Saturday night, Mother would let me and Henry, we'd walk several miles across the woods and the hollers over on the far side of Bill Hurt's old store back over there. There was a guy over there, James Woodley, I think was one of them, and Homer Willis might have been the other people that lived in another house down there, but we would take time about going watching.
Earl Robertson.
Yeah, and Earl Robertson, watching television on Saturday night. They'd let us go. We didn't get a television until we got Well, I mean, I don't think we had electricity until we got a television, did we?
No, I don't. I remember shelling peas and stuff on the back porch without electricity now.
Yeah.
Now, that makes me look like I'm an old person. Well, I am.
We're getting there. We're getting there, brother.
I always did like to shell peanuts around the fireplace after it was parched
Yeah.
for the homemade peanut butter.
More
But that was-
oil lanterns and lamps.
Yeah, we'd have to walk up Mr. Roy Dunham, I called him, down the holler and up the bottom, under the low gap and up the hill to get a gallon of kerosene.
Well, did your dad, was he always a preacher?
Ever since I knew him, he was.
Yeah, he was one of the circuit riders, the oldest circuit riders. He used to ride horses and go all over the county of preaching, you know. And he told me several times, says the Lord says not to take nothing with you. Says just take yourself, so the people will furnish you what you need. So, type of person, he may be gone, you know, 2 weeks, a month, something like that. According on how many churches he went to and where they say it.
You know, I was very impressed. We went down to Lebanon, the church there, and we went out and walked over the cemetery one time several years ago, and there were little short graves. There were several children that didn't live.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know that a lot of times people are living for God and
Yeah.
and just love the Lord, and you know something like that'll happen, something tragic will happen in their lives, and they just chunk it. And I was very impressed that no matter what happened to him, apparently he just kept preaching, just kept going. Very impressed. Very impressed with that. I've never told you that. I was very impressed with that.
Yeah, he did.
Because so many people, you know, like one child, but there were about 4 or so, 4 or 5 little
4 of
graves
them, I
there.
know.
His children.
Samuel and Marshall and Mary and Nellie.
I
They
mean,
was all just small kids, tie forward, and Samuel fell on a tree stump at that time. Busted his knee and it caught gangrene, and there was nothing they could do for it, you know, at that time.
and you know that's got to be heartbreaking, but he just kept preaching.
Yeah, right on.
Kept preaching. You
The
know
Lord.
that tells me something. That's a witness to me all these years later.
And I know after I got old enough to have a car, on Sundays and maybe once a week, we would carry Dad. He'd always want to go to. He would always preach somewhere on Sunday morning. At some of he was in the Methodist charge. It might not be the same church, but he would always preach somewhere. We either went in that old vehicle some of the older brothers drove that lived around close, or I got where I could drive pretty good. Remember one time, I don't remember who was driving, but it wasn't me. I was on the back. Me and Henry was. Started up that big hill over there in Hatchie Bottom. Got about halfway up it. I believe it was a half brother Walter was driving.
Yeah. Make it work.
About halfway up and then one day, you know, back in they had old mechanical brakes on it and you can't stop one going backwards. And he went back down that hill backwards and hit a bank.
Oh man.
Kid one ever wore, didn't he?
Like a bowling ball hit the pin.
Well, your dad tried to drive one time, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Well, tell us about it.
Henry probably remembers it better than I do. He's younger than I am.
They packing it off on each
Yeah,
other now.
but you know the truth of it. I might not tell the whole truth of it.
Well, I just know it got tangled up in the barbed wire fence up on top of the hill, and that's where it sits. After somebody carried it to the house. I think I might have went up there and got it. Or
Oh, I was talking about the time that that he got up on top of the hill and run in that ditch. And he got out of the ditch and he was going to take it back to the house. And he turned in down there at the house, and it just kept going. And that old slab pile was right out in front of him. He got to hollering, whoa, 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 now. Hit that slab pile and just bent that car all to pieces. He got out,
mercy.
shut the door, and he never did get back in another car.
That was the end of that, huh?
That was his last drive.
Well, y'all spent a lot of time playing down by the barn, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
There's corn cob wars down there. And sometimes they get serious when them things wet when they hit you upside the head. It didn't feel good.
Well, I bet it did.
Especially if it was cold.
I bet. I bet.
And me, let's see, Bud and Bill and me and Henry and Gerald and Charles and Edwin and Don Holiday and gosh, I don't know, it would be a bunch of us. We was either having corn cob fights or having the ball game and then fighting out of the ball game.
You know, that the kids were not scared of anything back in those days. I've heard you talk about, you know, the corn crib and snakes and rats. And
Yeah.
Shoot,
No,
I believe I'd stay at Tassau and be down there.
I mean, I guess it's the way we was brought up. We respected what they was. We know what they would do, so we stayed away from them. And like I say, we had old Dixie there, or old Buck, or whichever one.
They get them snakes.
And if a kid went out yonder way, that dog's right behind it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on both sides of it, just making sure it wasn't no snake around.
Mm-hmm.
I said I never did get scared, but I did one night. I think Henry was with me. We'd been over to James Woodley's watching television. It was late, probably 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. We started back home. It stormed, rained some at night. And it was pitch dark. You couldn't see it lightning every once in a while, and you could kind of see where you was going. There wasn't no moon shining. But boy, I'd hear something walking behind me, and I'd stop, and it would stop. I'd listen a few minutes, and there'd be here was there anything or no noise. Walk a little bit further, and you'd hear something walking behind you. And I was getting about ready to start running. I believe Henry was with me. But anyway, we had an old gray mare they called Mabel. And it was, had got out of the pasture. And it had followed us from somewhere down the road there. But we finally figured out what it was as we got back to the house. But that's the only time I was really scared at night, I reckon. But I couldn't figure out what it was.
Well, tell me, now, you grew up out in the country in a simple time. It was a easier life than we have now. It really was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was hard work, but
was hard
things
work.
were not so complicated. It was a good life.
It was a good life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we enjoyed it as a child, and I'm sure if I had to do it now, I would enjoy it better than the life that I have to put up with now.
Well,
I
you
mean-
know, like you say, you didn't get a lot, but you didn't want a lot.
You didn't want much.
No.
I mean, a candy bar every now and then, or you work all day long, pick cotton all day long, and
Well,
Daddy would take us to the store and buy us a 6-cent Coke and a 5-cent candy bar, and that's all we wanted out
Well,
of it.
Daddy's brother, Uncle Richard, had a store there at Pooltight, and
Yeah.
that's where we went to school, or where I went to school at, and I'd walk to school every morning, every evening. Most of the time, Mother and Daddy would meet us up at the highway, or up at the store, and walk us back home. It don't seem like it's been long ago, but it's been a good while.
Yeah, it's been a good while.
You know, you think about the difference in how you were raised and how our children were raised. It's a lot of difference
It's a
there.
lot of difference.
A lot
yeah.
of different world.
Yeah.
Different world.
I
And,
mean,
you know, you think, well, they wouldn't know how to survive then, but we don't hardly know how to survive in this world.
yeah.
It's different.
There
So
wasn't
different.
anything to get into, no trouble. Well, you can get in
No.
somebody's watermelon patch here once in a while.
Uh-oh.
That'd get you in trouble pretty quick. Well, they didn't care if you didn't tear the vines up.
So, of course, you did where they'd care. Yeah, uh-huh.
When I realized that
Having financial difficulties and don't
No,
So bad.
They wouldn't say much about it. They wouldn't come tell Daddy or nothing like that.
Come tell
Because
Daddy,
if
yeah.
they did, we know we'd have it.
But I can remember when I was a kid, we used to go up on top of the hill up there where them two old peach trees is.
Yeah.
Mr. Ketchum got a house built up on top of that hill now, and you can stand there and see the lights in Ripley. And that's about 12 miles out there to
Yeah.
the top of that hill there at Mount Olive. But you can see, I used to wonder what it'd be like to live out there at town where all them lights is and not have to worry about.
All them lights. Was you dazzled by the bright lights
Yeah, I guess I was.
at Ripley?
And I decided to go to, I snuck off and went to Memphis and got a job and worked up there a while and stayed with David. And then I really took a big step and went on out to Dallas, Texas and got a job and didn't nobody know where I was for several months. That actually got me in trouble with Mother and
I
Daddy.
bet it did. I bet it did.
But it was an experience.
Y'all don't learn by his example, young folks. I tell you, you'd get in trouble.
He learned from it.
I bet he did.
He didn't have a penny when he got back home. He was proud to get home and get something in his stomach.
I bet he was.
He
I
had
bet
a
he was.
motorcycle when he left and blowed it up and he left it sitting on the side of the road.
In Tippah County, Texas.
Sometimes home looks pretty good, doesn't it?
It's a long hitchhike from there to Ripley, Mississippi, too.
I bet it is. I just bet it is. Well, tell me, how did you get from there to playing gospel music?
Well, really, I don't know. You know where I used to play years ago and things, I think a few people has told you, but I decided to make a change, and I did, and it was for the best.
Yeah,
And
it was.
I've been playing gospel now about 12, 15 years, and plan on it as long as I can pick that old guitar up and sing a song or hum, as Henry said.
Yeah.
And Henry's been doing it really, I think, longer than I have. I don't know.
How'd you learn to play?
Well,
Yeah, that'd be a good one for you, tell.
You got about 3 minutes.
I used to walk about 4 or 5 miles across the swamp and the bottoms over there. There was the old man Willie Gossett's place. There was no colored man lived over there, but he was McCowan, I believe.
Bill, Blind Dave.
Blind Dave McCowan. And he told me I was about 7 years old. When I could hold my guitar on the horse, I'd ride the horse over there, but most of the time I'd walk and carry that thing over there. And he taught me how to play by ear and by sound. And I've been doing it ever since.
He couldn't show you because he's blind, you know. And now Blind Dave used to play up on the square. A lot of the older people may remember him. He used to play over where Ladner's used to be on the south side of the square, and he'd just sing gospel songs and stuff like that, you know. And he could really bless a person.
Well, you know, everybody in the family plays something. What happened to you, Henry?
I play tape player.
Play tape. One in every bunch.
Yeah.
He had to be-
Somebody gotta do it, ain't
Well, somebody got to turn it off. But tape.
But
they? CD, you know,
truly,
or tape player.
all the guys in the family played, didn't they? Everybody but you. But the girls don't.
Uh-uh.
I don't know why.
I don't know.
Just happened that way.
Can't even getting all of them to sing, or except Louise every now and then. And Betty's got a pretty voice.
Yeah, Betty can sing if she would or could now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Louise could sing good.
Yeah, she does. She does.
She just,
But I tell you what, you can't stir her up too much because we'd have to get somebody on that phone. Can't nobody do like her. I'm telling you.
I don't think
She's good.
Daryl wants to go
She's
back there
good.
and get on that phone.
Oh, she's good. No, first time out, I took it on. I was going to answer the phone for another program, you know, after mine, and they didn't have anybody, and I was just going to help. And the first time I come out and give out the calls, I gave 2 of the names wrong.
And probably didn't have but 3 names.
Probably not. And they called me
That's the
and
way
said, I'm sorry, but that's not me, you know. And then one of them called and said, you know, you didn't get my call out. And I'm like, how does she do it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. But she is so good at it.
Yeah, she is. She
So
is.
good at it.
We really blessed to have her.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That's the truth. You got a good phone girl, you got something.
Yeah.
Now, it makes a difference. I watch a lot of these programs, and they just don't have Louise, and we don't share. No, we're not sharing Louise. We're keeping her.
No, she's there.
She's wonderful, wonderful.
Sure is.
But we've run up on time, and as I say, we've enjoyed this hour together, but I've really enjoyed this hour. Don't forget the Jeter Family Program, Saturday night at 7 o'clock. I do hope you'll tune us again next Monday for 7 o'clock for Daryl's Little Corner. May God bless.